Pastor Ed here with Daily Devotions for Thursday, April the 25th, 2024. Yesterday we started looking at that Acts 17 passage, um, talking about how Paul, as was his custom, would go on the Sabbath. I talked about the fact I didn't like the word argued, discussed, or reasoned. I like that translation a lot better. Explaining is fine. Another way of thinking about it is opened up to them, and proving sounds again, I don't know, rubs me the wrong way, but set before them to demonstrate, to give evidence of. And the result is he's talking about this is the Messiah, the Jesus whom I'm proclaiming to you. And some of them were persuaded and joined Paul and Silas, as did a great many of the devout Greeks and not a few of the leading women. And I told a story of a fellow by the name of Jack who was persuaded by a caring, considerate neighbor who was a Christian that walked with him for years before there was an opportunity, when there was an openness on that Jack's part, to hear the good news of Jesus. Well, as the story goes on, again, this is Acts 17, 1 through 9, if you want to read it again for yourselves. But not everybody was unilaterally, unanimously in favor of what Paul and Silas were doing. There were those who became jealous. They formed a mob, and so forth. And the accusation was they dragged some of the believers before the city authorities and shouted, "These people who've been turning the world upside down have come here also." Turning the world upside down. When you think about it, that's what Christianity has done from the very beginning. I guess maybe when we've been at our very best, there have been a lot of low moments too, and things that we did maybe that were not so good. But there were so many examples, countless examples of how the world has been changed. Here's one small example. A fellow by the name of Hal Steed writes, "If you've read anything by Charles Dickens, you know how terrible the conditions were in 18th century England. There were no child labor laws, so children as young as age 4 were put to work up to 12 hours a day in dangerous factories, sent into the corners of the coal mines that were too narrow for adults to reach. If you've ever seen the musical Oliver, you know that hunger was rampant. Tuberculosis, diphtheria, and cholera outbreaks were common. School was only available for the children of the rich." Well, in 1738, John Wesley started forming these little Bible studies around the country. He was so keen on using methods to teach the Bible that people started to call his followers Methodists. By 1798, there were 100,000 Methodist Bible studies in England. One of those Bible reading Methodists was a fellow by the name of Samuel Plimsoll. He thought it was wrong that merchants overloaded their ships and shrugged it off, collected large insurance claims when the ship sank and the crews drowned. Plimsoll invented a symbol that marked a line on the ship to indicate its safe loading level. The line has saved thousands of lives since then. It's still called the Plimsoll mark to this day. Another Bible reader was Robert Raikes. He saw that poor children couldn't attend school because they worked 6 days a week, so he invented Sunday school to teach kids to read by reading the Bible. Other people from this Bible reading movement opened orphanages, mental asylums, hospitals, and prisons. Florence Nightingale developed the nursing profession. William Wilberforce brought an end to the English slave trade. Bible readers fought and won the women the right to vote. Wesley's 18th century Bible reading revolution changed people's character. It lifted so many English people's work ethic and care ethic and sense of personal trustworthiness that by the 19th century, England had become the most powerful and prosperous nation on the earth. The same thing happened in America. The religious low point of our history actually was the 1850s, some say. Then revival began, and people began reading the Bible. This was before gas or electricity, so after dark, families would gather around a few candles at the kitchen table. While mom and grandma sewed and repaired clothes, the father of the family would read the Bible by candlelight for an hour or more every evening. And like in England, work ethics rose along with integrity and initiatives to take care of the poor. Even the Civil War broke out in part because Bible readers determined that slavery was a sin. And so just one example of many of how the world has been changed um, by Christianity, by Scripture, by immersing ourselves. And I like the phrase that these guys have been turning the world upside down, are doing it here too. I came across an interesting story that written by this fellow who says, on a Sunday morning as I was driving to church, my 2-year-old daughter asked me to play her favorite songs. So I inserted the CD, but nothing played on the car's music system. I told my daughter that the CD was not working. And she replied, "You put it in wrongly. It's upside down." In my ego, said the father, I smirked and commented sarcastically, "Yeah, right." And she insisted that I check it out, to see that I was, and I was not willing to do that, um, or to accept that I would have possibly made such a silly mistake. But his wife gently mentioned to ask him just to have a look for her sake. And so he did. And it was inserted upside down after all. He couldn't believe he had made such a silly mistake. Um, I think in some ways, and I've done that myself, but you know, the world is upside down. It's not working in many ways because we've got it all upside down. And just like a CD, you have to turn it, reverse it to make it work. I think Christianity has tried to right um, um, an upside down world that needs to be right-sided again, I guess would be the expression. I don't know. The idea that, you know, we're going about things in so many ways the wrong way, and it's true. When Christianity teaches and preaches love and caring and forgiveness, it's going to turn the world upside down. It has. It will always continue to do that. We don't always live up to that mandate, to that call, to that responsibility, but when we're at our best, that's what we do. We turn the world upside down and change it. Well, I hope you have a great day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow. We'll start looking at that 1 Thessalonians passage. Until then, take care. Bye.